Shamps and giggles, history, news, views, and reviews from a black perspective.
Welcome one and all back to the part 3 of Shamps and Giggles. We're discussing the amazing, I believe it's amazing initiative that some Caribbean islands have got, that Maximus brought to us about if you purchase land or property within their country, they will give you citizenship. So go ahead. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, so I was going to say, so they've had this for quite a long time actually. Citizen Investment in Caribbean. It's a program that they've had, and you get, and it is to invest in the countries absolutely, but and you generally get people from countries whose passports aren't sought after or find it very difficult to travel. So try, to get visas and things like that. For example, Nigerians find it very, very difficult to get visas and to go to other countries. And there are other African countries and other countries around the world where their passports aren't as doesn't hold any strength. So they'll go and they'll go to places like Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, Barbados. And they'll invest, and they'll buy. They'll either invest or they'll buy property. So sorry, it's not donation or investment. Sorry, donation, investment, and they'll get their citizenship. But the thing about it, to me, it's a great idea, absolutely. The only thing is that I don't know whether or not the people see it. I don't know if they do. They probably do see the money that comes to them, to the communities. But secondly, those who are, Jemmy gave an example of Barbados allowing people from abroad to come to Barbados and work and have free accommodation for a year. And he was saying that it means that they can spend in a local economy. I personally don't think that so much. I think probably the money does leak out of the local economy for various reasons. I don't think that somebody from abroad is going to stay within the local community. I think they're going to go to more resorty areas, whereby they're going to be spending their money in that particular area rather than the local areas, if that makes sense, with the locals.
Okay.
So I mean, I can see the benefits.
You're a bit skeptical on that.
Well, I mean, I'm skeptical for the fact that they're selling it, that it's going to help the community, which is what Jemmy's saying, working and getting free accommodation, because people in the Caribbean, they need accommodation. Like regular folk need accommodation, and it's very expensive. It's expensive. Imagine buying property in the Caribbean, which is already very expensive, and you've got investors buying properties. It already outprices people who live there as it is, and the land is very small as it is as well. So that's going to increase the prices. The more investors that go in and buy property, and they invest in property or land, it brings the prices up, and the regular people who are working and getting minimum wage are left out.
All right. Okay. Well, that's quite a big statement there.
Right.
For your opinion. Go ahead, Maximus.
The other side of that coin is this. If I go to Barbados right now and I buy some land and I build a house, who's going to be the workforce? That's going to be the locals. Where am I going to buy all the stuff to build my house with? And I can't speak about other Caribbean nations because I don't know how their tax system works, but I know how Barbados is. So if I import a brick and it costs me £1, when I bring that brick in, I've got to pay £2 to bring that brick. So I've got to pay £1 for the brick and £2 to bring it in, because Barbados is 100% import tax. This is all going to the smaller and the wider infrastructure of the island. Because like I said, if you go and live in Barbados or you go and live in Jamaica, you have to eat food. You have to buy toilet paper. You have to buy petrol put in your car. All of these things are feeding and driving the economy. Yeah, Barbados' economy is quite strong. But if you look at the biggest of the pictures that you could get, it's money that's coming in. Yes, they might want to go to the more bougie areas and spend their money, but guess who works in those bougie areas and then bougie restaurants? The poor people who live in the hood. So even any which way you look at it, it's still feeding and helping the economy grow. So I think it's a really good thing. Although I do get your point where people are just passport shopping, for want of another way to say. Yeah. Oh, I can go to St. Kitts, I can go to Grenada, I can go to Jamaica because I've got passport for them because I've built. But the long run of it, if you're gonna build a £200,000 house, it's gonna cost you 300 grand, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Jimmy, the example you gave is keeping the people in servitude. Like you're saying that by somebody who's got the means, got money, can build a house there. The people that are in the Caribbean, they can build the house. The government's getting 100% tax because of the import tax. And the people who, if they're staying in a hotel or in a resort, the people who live in the resort, who work in the resort, who are Caribbean, they're still going to have jobs. But we've seen in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, for example, earlier last year, that they were getting paid. They're not getting paid well. The economy in the Caribbean is largely a servitude economy, where it's all about hotels and things like that. It's serviced accommodation, it's serviced economy. So it's keeping them servicing rather than actually building the economy, making it diverse. A bit like in America, Caribbean, and other places in the world where there's a diverse number of industries, if that makes sense. That's what's going to improve the economy and improve the people. Yeah.
Okay. I can hear your points, but I still see it, especially because, like I said, I can't speak for any other islands because I don't know. But I like my cousin went home to Barbados for 2 years and had free accommodation.
Yeah,
remember, he had that free accommodation. He was getting a good wage, but he was spending his money in the island. Part of his wages that he acquired that he didn't have to spend on accommodation. It gave him a little bit more extra money that he could go out and eat more different places. And this is all feeding the economy. And at the end of the day, if you've got a country, yeah, and your country's got population, let's say the country's got a population of 100 people, yeah, 95 of them people got jobs, yeah, and whatever project they're on, the job lasts for the length of the project. But if you now have an extra 100 people coming in, or even 50 people, or even 20 people, that will grow the economy.
No.
It will, because those people are going to provide extra work that wouldn't be there if they weren't there.
They're going to spend.
They're going to provide extra. They're going to provide. The hotel going to need extra maids now because they've got more people there. The barman has got to buy more beer because more people are buying beer. No matter what way you look at it, it still feeds the economy. So it's better to have an economy that is being fed regularly by regular income of money, just like you or me. Yeah, if we don't go to work, we don't have a regular income of money. So them days when you feel like, I don't want to go to work, so you get up and go to work because you don't want to lose out on that regular income. Make sense?
Jimmy, a lot of those hotels and a lot of these businesses that own there, they're owned by people from abroad. Yeah, so we're giving examples of people investing in coming and investing in these in land and properties there, and that's how money leaks out of the economy. Because
yes, but this was the old Caribbean. This is not the new Caribbean. The new working together, looking to make more money, looking to be a force in the world, just like you've got Europe and you've got Asia. The Caribbean is going to be a force of its own because of working together and doing initiatives like this to bring in the money. If you ain't got the money, you can't do nothing. So you've got to find a way to bring in the money.
There's got to be a tax incentive for those who are investing in the Caribbean.
Yeah, we'll give you a passport.
There is a tax incentive, isn't there?
A passport.
No, but not just a passport. But if you're going to invest there's a passport. Okay, great.
No tax incentive, none. Not in Barbados anyway. No tax incentive. Build your house, we'll give you a passport.
Yeah, that's an incentive, a huge incentive. You've gone.
You are now a citizen of Barbados.
Yeah.
Yeah. So remember, you can't just go to Barbados and say, "Here, what? We're going to give you 200 grand. Give us a passport." No. Build your house. Build your house. Yeah. Use your local tradesmen. Yeah. Use your local butchers and buy meat. Use your local car dealership and buy a car and buy petrol and buy furry dice to put in your car. All these little bits and pieces, they all add to the economy.
I agree. I think
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. I think that it's a tax benefit for investors. Having no capital gains tax for property as well, and other benefits as well. That's the reason. That is the benefit of investing. Yeah,
I think that's the old Caribbean. And I'll give you another example from Barbados. There's a guy called St. Charles. What's his first name? I can't remember it. But this guy actually built the port of St. Charles in Barbados. He dug it out from the rock. Yeah. And he built this amazing port. Poor people don't go there. They're billionaires park there. You go there, you see Abramovich's ship there. You see John Terry's ship there. Big money he spent and he made big money. But guess what? The government said, hold up. Oh, this one man has so much property in decree. You can't build, you can't buy no more property in Barbados directly. You're not allowed. You've got too much. So it's also down to the government to say, here, what? This is what you can do. This is what you can't do. That's why I say, in Barbados, I know you'll get one incentive. You build your house, you get a passport. Yeah? And if you build more than 2 or 3 houses, then we need to know why and what are you doing with them. Because you're not building the houses and sending the money out. And even if you're sending it out, you pay the 100% import tax on every piece of pebble you bring in.
Yeah.
So remember, it's a multi eating. It's like going to a buffet. So you eat from the import tax. You eat from using local workers. You eat from buying petrol. You eat from buying the furry dice. You eat from buying ice cream on the beach from the snow cone man. Yeah. You eat from the man who's walking on the beach selling shells and all them kind of jewelry that he's made himself. That's you can't get more local than that because these guys don't have no proper jobs. What they do, they walk the beach all day. In the night time, they go in the sea and get pebbles or pretty pebbles and shells, and they build jewelry.
Yeah.
So as a matter of fact, you're more than helping the economy because when them guys sell their stuff, they're not paying no tax.
No.
So they are street sellers. They're hustlers. But you're giving them another way to feed their family, so they don't have to go out and rob banks and stuff like that. So it's for me, it's a multi-eating thing. Everybody's eating. The country's eating across all different dimensions.
Okay, can I direct?
Go ahead. Yeah, go on.
Direct the listeners to look at a website. It's investbarbados.org. More information about investing in Barbados and incentives that it offers as well to those who want to start a business. That's just an example. So look at. I'm not going to talk about it, but that will basically give an idea of what I'm talking about potentially. Because that's what I've got to say.
Brilliant.
And just how it works, so special for Barbados as well. Yeah, a Barbados passport is valuable. It's one of the top 20 passports in the world to have. Yeah, because it has access to almost everywhere. 142 countries, I believe, would accept a Barbados passport.
Yeah.
So if you're coming to Barbados to invest, that money that you're putting in that house opens up the world for you.
Because it's one of the top recognized passports.
You can Google it. It's in the top 20 for such a small little 166 square miles, 298,000 population.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And then it also goes down to the individual. When we went to Jamaica last, we don't always go and stay in no big bougie hotel. We go and stay in a guest house that's owned by a Jamaican.
Yeah.
And a black Jamaican. And we don't necessarily have to go to no big restaurant in town that's all pretty. We go to a black restaurant owned by a black person. So we're helping. We're helping the economy again by not going to what's the hotel chain now? Hilton. And spending enough money in there every day. We're eating road food. And you don't know the road food's better than whatever the Hilton's got anyway.
Yeah, that's right. It is because road. Yeah. That's brilliant. Well done. Thank you very, very much on that. That was excellent. Yeah, I do. Well, me personally, my thing is, yeah, the more Caribbean countries that do these sort of offers, the better it is for all Black people all over the world, especially for the UK, to go and try and invest in those countries. And thank you very much for the links that you're putting in. The two that
Alicia.
Miss Leisha's put in there. One was www.henleyglobal.com for one of them. And then there was another one that she shared was www.investbarbados.org. So anyone that want to invest in the Caribbean, especially if you're Barbadian heritage or you want to just Caribbean support, go to those websites, and there's others out there. We're not advocating one or the other, but there's others out there. Please click in and invest. And the passport might be yours, or the property or land, and build on it. You know, that's what we need to start doing, is building for ourselves and our future generations. So thank you very much for bringing that to the forefront, Mr. Max. I'd never get it right. Yep, and as iPhone says, the Caribbean, let me read what she says. Caribbean are getting stronger if they start coming together. Yeah, and I think they are coming together more and more now with what's going on in the world, and especially the US. But they're getting stronger. You know, the CARICOM community is getting very, very strong. So yeah, you got the money.
No visa for internal travel in the Caribbean,
Yeah,
for Caribbean nationals,
it's
all these
open.
little incentives.
Yeah, go for it. Go and do it. Thank you very much for that, Maximus, for bringing that to our attention. We've got so much to talk about still. Um, so yeah, exciting stuff. So we'll keep an eye on the Caribbean side. We really will. Yeah, we got some exciting stuff, and my voice is going now. I can hear it. So bear with. So yeah. So listen, we're gonna flip the script, because we've got some other things that we want to mention. Is we want to mention something that came to the news in Africa. There's quite a few things that's going on in Africa. I don't know if you've got one on mind that you want to start the African trail, Maximus, or I'll just go straight into it.
You know, anytime we talk about Africa, we're going to speak about one person in particular.
Yes.
Because he's moved in leaps and bounds. He's changed the continent of Africa by the things that he's been doing.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, I'm speaking about Ibrahim Traore.
That's correct. That was my next subject.
The biggest thing about him right now is they're saying, is he being democratic, or is he being what's the word? A dictator. A
dictator, yes.
Because apparently they're not going to have any elections in
That's correct.
Burkina Faso for a hot minute. But that is the headline. Yeah. What they're not saying is that the people under him in power and the general public said they don't want nobody else in power because of the things that he's done for the nation. Yes, he has a country that now has free healthcare for everybody. Yeah, and this man is so smart. Like I said, what he did, he took all of the top earners in the country and cut their wages by 30%. And all the low income earners, he increased their wages by 50%.
Yeah.
And he is constantly building infrastructure. And when we say he's building infrastructure, he's not just saying, all right, I'm going to build a road. Because economics means the movements of goods and services, so goods and services can move. He's giving the guys the trucks to put the stuff in so they can move it. So it's not like I said, it's not just building a road. He's building a road and giving you a truck to drive on that road too.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're in prison, yeah, I don't think it covers every crime, but I think it covers a large percentage of crimes. If you go and work in the community for 1 month, you take 2 months off your sentence. And if you work as a mango picker or anything to do with agriculture.
Mhm.
He will, when you are finally released, he will give you the tools to carry on the trade that you've been working in. So now this guy who comes out of prison, he's not in a situation like a lot of people in the UK are. They get released from prison, yeah, and they're more or less thrown out on the roadside.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they end up being in a vicious circle where they have to keep and rub and do all kind of foolishness again to get money. So they end up going back to prison. This doesn't happen in Burkina Faso because I've been working building bicycles. Yeah, I am now getting all the tools and the raw materials to build bicycles. The rest is up to you if you mash it up.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So, but the thing for me is the people in his country, the general public, me and you, we don't want no elections. Nobody else is not going to come and do this.
yeah.
Nobody else is not going to come and do this. And he doesn't have a Bentley. Yeah, he ain't dripping in gold. The people are trying to say he's siphoning off money.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's siphoning off money, carry on siphoning off money because the country's benefiting from it.
Yeah.
He kicked the French out. He now has full control of his own country's gold reserves. Yes, he just said, "Hey, what? The colonizers, your time is done." Yeah, he's even changed all the names of streets in the capital that had anything to do with the colonizers to different names, to names that are relevant to the ancestors of the people in Burkina Faso, to people who've been freedom fighters, to just anything apart from having it called Charles de Gaulle Highway. Allow that, say that. Yeah, it's now called Mr. Whoever Highway now. But it's somebody who's relevant to the people, so the people can say, this is relevant to this guy was a freedom fighter for us in 1592, rather than walking down Charles de Gaulle Highway, who's just a colonizer.
Yeah.
And I'd
Well,
be happy with that.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, and I'm hoping that I'm sharing a screen with you guys.
You are.
And this is exactly what Maximus has just brought up. There's a big debate going on in over there, saying that the military ruler, I'm just reading what it says, listeners, he scrapped the electoral commission taking control of future polls. And this is why we were saying is that he's not really been democratic. But as Maximus has pointed out, if he's doing well and the country likes what he's doing, why would you want outside foreign influence to mess up what he's doing if everybody likes it? He doesn't want, so he's decided to disband it. And because if you've got a nation and people that live out there, the residents, they like what he's doing and he's doing it to benefit the country, why do you need to have the outside influences of elections when he's doing a good job? So if they believe in that ruler and he scraps the electoral for other people to come up and be voted, and then there's war in between that, if they're happy for him, leave it. But then you've got, on the flip side, you've got other people saying, well, hold on, that's not very democratic. We live in a democratic society that people should be able to vote with their feet and their hands. So why wouldn't we have other people going against the ruler at the moment to see if they can better the country? So for me, in my opinion, this is not democratic, but I can see it on the flip side. Well, he's doing a great job. When you had the other rulers, they weren't looking after the country. They were looking after themselves and dancing to the tunes of the outside world.
Ah, you got it right there. Let me just stop you right there for a second.
Go ahead, yes.
One of the easiest ways to destabilize a country is when they're having elections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you send in Jemmy, yeah, but Jemmy actually works for France. Jemmy
Yes.
is a French puppet.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, France will give me all the money to make my election campaign good, and we make all the promises. But as soon as we get it, what do? We start thinking for ourselves. Right now, we don't care about France. France, you're not here. You've got me in. Thank you very much, France. Now we're going to start to peel off to our friends.
Yeah.
Yeah? Elections is one of the easiest ways to destabilize, any country in the world.
Mhm.
So if you stop elections,
Yeah.
and the people, I'm going to say this in the eye, for me, if you stop elections because your people, your country's people said, no, we don't want no elections. You just keep doing what you're doing.
Mhm.
That way of trying to break down our infrastructure can't work because you can't get in. There's no election for you to get in and bring your Spanish colonizer in and your French colonizer in and your American. They can't get in. And he's already caught 12 French Secret Service men trying to assassinate him.
Mm.
Yeah, they tried to buy one of his generals. Yeah, and the general who was true to Ibrahim, he told them yes, he's going to do what they asked. They
Mhm.
found a truckload of French money, yeah, of
Mhm.
euros that came from France to pay this man. All he did, he just conned the French them and took the money and give it to Ibrahim to spend on the country.
Oh, fair enough.
Billions,
Mm.
billions. Yeah,
Yeah.
look, the Western world does not want Africa or the Caribbean to be successful because then they lose their hold over our countries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, look at it like this: Belgium has gold reserves. Belgium don't got no gold mine. How the hell Belgium get gold reserve? So they stole it from something. Even up to the present day, they're still robbing our wealths. Yeah, and I put it to you like this: it's like me and you are next door neighbours.
Yeah.
I plant the tree. You're
Mhm.
the rich neighbour. I'm the poor neighbour. I plant the tree in my country, but my tree leans over into yours. Who's taking the fruit?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
taking the fruit because I can't reach it. It's not in my
You
country no
can't
more.
reach it on my side. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what the Western world does to Africa. They don't want Africa to succeed. It's the same reason why they show you Africa's so small on the map when Africa's bigger than all them countries put together.
Mm.
And we've spoken about this one as well. It's all meant. It's about the head and to mess with the heads. Yeah. I grew up all my life thinking that Africa was just a medium-sized continent. That America and Canada was bigger, and America and Canada can fit into Africa.
Mm.
America and Canada can fit into the Sahara Desert, and that don't even equate to 20% of Africa. Anyway,
Mhm.
me done before me get too passionate and get told me gun and start
No.
behaving
No.
bad.
No. No. So I just thought we'll discuss that because some people saying, yeah, it's not very democratic, but hey ho, what's as they say, what's democratic done to several countries around the world, you know, with people meddling in. So yeah, we'll watch it, see how it goes. But at this moment in time, there's more positives and people liking what he's doing than the negatives. So we'll keep an eye and see what's happening. But as I said, it's all to do with Africa, and Africa seems to be in the forefront of the news um, of recent. There's another article that I'm going to try and share with you listeners, and hopefully you can go online and have a look for it. So when we're bringing these news to you, it's genuine news that we're bringing to you. And the next topic to do with Africa is to do with Idris Elba. Idris Elba, he was on news or he was being interviewed um, regarding Africa. And he's quoted by saying why he's planning to move to Africa. He wants to get out and go to Africa, and I'm hoping that my listeners or my viewers can see what I'm showing and sharing. Um, and that's Idris. He wants to go to Africa. Um, and that's what he's saying. British actor Idris Elba has told the BBC that he will relocate to Africa within the next decade as part of his plans to support the continent's movie industry. So he's keen to move out there because he can see what is out there for him and for developing and to bring to the forefront. Bearing in mind, although Idris Elba was born in London, his mother and father, they're Ghanaians from Sierra Leone. So he has that strong attachment to Africa, you know? So why wouldn't he want to go back and help their economy and their country? So it just shows you that there is a lot of Black people in the UK and around the world that want to go to Africa. They do want to go there, you know? And Gemma's, yeah, right. Biggest selling music on the planet, Afrobeats, very true. You know, iPhone, I will follow him. You know, things like that. It just shows you that Africa is the place to go. Many years ago, we've been deprived of what Africa's about, and we're Africans and this, that, and the other. We didn't know. We're born here, go to school here, learn wonderful British history. You know, nothing was said about Africa and our foreparents, where they came from, and beyond our great, great, great. So yes, why not now lift up and rise up and build Africa up? You know, that's where we should be, and that's what we should be doing. You know, so I take my hat off to people of a higher stature that is recognized, stars, if you want to say that, actors. They want to go to Africa to make better for themselves and to better Africa. Yeah, and this is from Maximus again, the only self-sustaining continent on the planet. Everything is there. Everything is there for you. You know, TMJ, it's a shame he had to telegraph his movement. Very true, because, you know, when you start broadcasting things that you want to do in the future, you know what's coming. You know what's coming. So I'm going to see if I'm going to stop sharing my screen, listeners, and just to see if there's any hands up. So, and there is, and I'm glad I've seen some hands. I'm unfortunate, I didn't know whose was first. So let's go with iPhone, and then I'll go to Miss Lee. Go ahead, iPhone.
Yeah, it was just a quick one. There's 2 points for me in regards to Africa. When we were growing up, the narrative was Africa was poor, and kids were starving, and Africa wasn't a place to go. They didn't show obviously the beautiful sides of Africa. They only showed one side of Africa. Another point I want to make is there's a guy that I follow on TikTok, and he goes around interviewing millionaires, billionaires, and he asks them questions. How did you make your millions? How did you make your billions? What did you do? Da, 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 da. And he asks this billionaire, you know, what advice would you give people, you know, if they wanted to build their business? And he said, go and build your business in Africa.
Yes.
Africa is the place to go. Everybody's missing a trick with Africa. Africa is where you need to build your business. And I just wanted to leave it with that.
Well done. Thank you very much for that. Africa is where you want to build your business. Miss Leisha, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to second that. Africa's been that hidden gem that the Europeans have been hiding and making Africans, Black Africans and Caribbeans and Black Americans ashamed of being or having ties with Africa. What really shone out for me about Africa during lockdown in particular was a YouTube, actually before the lockdown, actually, is a YouTuber called Wode Maya, Wode, and surname is Maya. And he used to study in China, Ghanaian guy. But then something happened in China. There was a big bust up with the Africans and the Chinese. And he went back to Africa and he decided that he was going to show the world and he was going to document it on YouTube, how beautiful Africa is. and how that there are people who invest in Africa, and that there are a lot of businesses in Africa and things like that. And watching his videos just made me think, wow. I mean, before that I knew, but to see it actually on a video, I think internet is amazing. YouTube and that has been amazing for all of us, because we're seeing things now that the Europeans were able to hide from us, and were able to draw up a particular narrative to make us think that actually you don't want to go to Africa because everybody's starving and they've got big bellies and they've got flies running around their runny noses. But no, it's a hidden gem, and a lot of Africans say, even African friends of mine say, like, guys, Africa is it's better than England.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to kind of like understand what colonialism is and what racism is, and those that portrayed it, they did a very good job. Yes, I can go back 50 years to when I was a little boy. I did not like Africans because they were boo-boo scratchers. They was this and they was that. Now that wasn't because anybody educated me. I was just told, like people just said, people just are dead in Africa. Big flies are on board. They're below you Caribbeans, and they did it so good that they made me divide from my family, because no, you can't be Caribbean if you don't come from Africa. It's not possible.
Very true.
And you can't be a member of this planet if you don't come from Africa.
Very true.
Another subject that we can follow another day, but the fact of the matter is, it was so brilliantly done that they had Caribbean people that are second generation or third generation Africans fighting Africans. What's that all about? So you have to understand the mentality of those, because I have to talk about in the past tense now, those colonizers and the job they did it very well.
Yeah.
They did it to a point where, okay, what's the first thing when I buck up a Jamaican and I tell them I'm from Barbados, the first thing they say to me, oh, you're a small island. Well, hold up, Jamaica's a small island to the world. Barbados just happens to be a smaller one. But that's part of the work of what the colonizers did. They made us hate each other. You wanna united? Come on, if there's 10 of us against 2 people, they can't beat us because there's 10 of us. But when they do that stuff and they scatter us, in essence, we're easier to beat.
Divided
and conquered.
Yeah, divided us up. Yeah. Agreed. and can you sorry, can you imagine, I'm just saying this I'm just looking at this in my head as figures. Can you imagine a country, Africa say, and then the surrounding worlds around Africa and the continents without a black person in it? Can you imagine Africa, the slavery, colonization? They took millions, and I'm saying millions upon millions of Africans and scattered them around the world. For you to have all variant of black people in every part of the world, all descending from Africa. And that doesn't even count the hundreds of thousands of them who drowned when the slavery boats and ships were taking them.
Millions.
Millions. Thank you. Not hundreds of thousands, millions of Africans. Yet still, millions and millions and millions of Africans were scattered across the world. Can you imagine if we didn't have slavery and everyone was stayed in Africa? Do you know how powerful Africa would be, and how we would be more loving as a race to each other if we Wakanda, if we were in our own, amongst our own. I'm just saying it. iPhone, Miss Leisha, you got your hand up. Miss Leisha, go ahead first.
Yeah, personally, I don't believe in utopia. I don't think that exists. What you're explaining.
You don't?
No, I don't believe in utopia. I don't believe that there is a utopia, that there ever will be utopia.
I'm surprised at that, but carry on. Everyone's got their own opinion. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, you know, people evolve and what have you. Now, there is conversations happening on places like TikTok. I've bumped into these places where, specifically Americans, Black Americans, who say they're not African. A lot of them are saying they're not African because they've been in America for over 400 years. So they're no longer Africans, they are Americans.
So they're not classing themselves as
DNA,
African Americans.
They don't
Look
class
at their
themselves as
DNA.
Africans.
Yeah,
They don't
okay.
class themselves as Africans or even Black. They're classed as Americans. And I think that there is a conversation being had. Well, there is a conversation being had at the moment about that. So, you know, the thing about it is that, you know, Africans have always travelled regardless of the slavery. It's just the way that we were kidnapped, or Africans were kidnapped and used as chattel in the Caribbean, in the Americas. We were always going to travel. We always have, as African people. I'll let TMJ go next.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Well, before TMJ's iPhone, go ahead, iPhone.
Yeah.
Then TMJ.
That's what I wanted to say, that point. Before slavery, Africans travelled all over the world. If you look at artifacts from before Christ, there's African people, there's Black people in all corners of the world. So I just wanted to say that they've always travelled from way, 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 way back. And I think it's just the slavery, I think that's kind of brought it to the forefront in regards to, because they went to certain Caribbean islands, that there was more of them on these Caribbean islands. But even in the UK, there's always been Black people before, if you go into history.
All right, thank you very much. TMJ?
Frozen.
She may be frozen. TMJ, if you take your camera off and then try just to speak, it may work better.
In the meantime,
yes, you come in, Maximus.
Yeah,
yeah.
We was in Italy the other day, yeah, and we walked past a bank. I said, D, hold up, D, come back, D. Look at these two statues in the bank. Now, number one, they are busts, yes, you know, shoulders and head, and they are made in white. What's the material it's made out of again?
Porcelain.
Porcelain. I think it's porcelain or marble.
Marble, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're made out of white marble, yeah? When me and Dion go close and look at them, it's not Black people. When you look at the hair, they got Black people's hair. Yeah, and this is a big bank in the middle of Rome. There's two big statues at the entrance. Yeah, but I've been looking at some stuff this week. In Poland, on some of the buildings, they've got Black people, and these are medieval buildings. So we're talking 14th, 15th century, them kind of times there. You've got Black people on the outside of their buildings, standing up laughing, standing up talking, posing. Our history is documented, but it's secretly hidden in front of your face. So if you don't pay attention and look at it, you won't see it. And we already know the Roman Empire had a Black emperor, and we all know his name, Septimus Severus. Yes, he's the first person you find when you walk in the Teeth British Museum. He's there on the left as you walk through the door. He's made in white marble. But when you look at the hair is the telltale sign. And the next thing that these people do is they erase noses. Why do you think they erase noses? Because our noses are not like this,
Mm-mm.
and
Point.
that's through genetics and where you live. If you live in a cold country, you don't need a big nose to take in a lot of oxygen and a lot of air. Live in a hot country, you do.
Yeah.
But all the biggest statues around the world, going all the way to Egypt, they look, there's so much hating on us here. They don't want to put Egypt in Africa. Where is Egypt? It's in Africa.
Mm.
They put Egypt in Africa, then they have to start to explain some things that they don't want to explain. But then they have to start talking about places like Nubia, where the Egyptians got their knowledge from.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy, but it's like I said, what they've done is hidden in plain sight. But if your eyes not open, you can't see it. Because I'm sure that bank that we went past, yeah, the average Italian who walks past that bank thinks, oh, these are great scholars and ambassadors for white Italy. They're not, they're black men.
Okay. Yeah. Very true.
And we're
Very
going
true.
again. I forget one liquor drink, sir. Thank
All
you.
right. Nice one. TMJ, go ahead. Last word, TMJ. Go ahead. You're the last one on the subject.
Sorry about that.
No, go on, my dear. Carry on.
There is a saying,
Mhm.
what is meant for evil will be turned about for good. You see the way that Africans have been scattered across the world.
Yeah.
I understand the point that you was making about if we had all stayed together, the concentration and all of that. But you see the fact that we are scattered and by nature nomadic. That influence is penetrating. There is no corner of the earth that you can't go that you can't find Africans. Therefore, when that time comes, when there is that linking, it's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Because we are already there, and it's almost as if we don't realize, we think that we think we're isolated, but there is, I don't really like that term woke, but I will use it. There is a woke community that is there, that is connecting those dots. There's a whole different set of people that are connecting those dots, and what we think is not happening is happening. The infrastructure is there, so for me, I think it's going to happen. I pray that I get to see it, but whether I get to see it or not, it's already unleashed. It can't go back. It cannot go backwards. It's going to go forward, and it's going to be at the deficit of the other communities that have tried to keep us down. Plus, that's history anyway. There's always a turnaround and a shift of power, and that's history. And it's the black man's time. So sorry, let me take that back. It's the African man's time. It's the Nubian man's time.
Yeah, Nubia, I like that word.
And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that come. There's only so much that can happen in these conditions and in this timing, and it's already turning around. And for me, I think somebody was talking about lockdown. Lockdown did a lot of sifting. Again, that was meant to be for their advantage. But just like in the olden days, you see when things happen, prohibition times, you see that there's like black people always find a way. African people always find a way to do something that they weren't able to do before and that other people haven't found. So where they think that we are suppressed, no, that's not the case. That's why I said, Idris, he should have just gone about his business. I know those
explain.
exactly, because the average everyday man who's watching him will now be alerted. Those in power already knew that. They already know what the treasures of Africa has and the treasures of the Caribbean. That's why they've been there. That's where they're trying. That's why the Chinese have been there. That's why the Arab countries are now trying to get into the Caribbean. They're not silly, and that's why we need to not sit here and suck off of this dry breath and go to a place where things are just totally fruitful.
Yeah. And we're our forefathers and grandparents. That's our heritage and history is based there. So we should be nurturing it and
what we put our hands to now in those places will be exponential.
because of the already the brow that is the sweat of the brow that's already gone before us. What we do here doesn't tie anything.
See, that's why I like Shamps and Giggles on a Friday, because we talk the things, you know, we express and we bring out conversations from TMJ and alike, you know. So very, very good. I've got one more. Thank you very much on these subjects, that the contributors that you've put forward on there. Excellent talk show. Excellent. I've got one more to bring before conclusion, and I'm hoping that I can still bring it in. I'm going to share on our screen with the members that are here, but for the radio listeners, my next topic, and I'm bringing Africa in it again, because it's the talk of the town, and it's doing great things. And this one is to do with, as you say, some Americans don't want to class themselves as African Americans; they want to drop it. But this particular person that a lot of us know, grew up with, seen his films, and that is Spike Lee. If you remember Spike Lee, Benin, which is a part of Africa, Benin names Spike Lee and his wife ambassadors for African Americans in the US. If you can understand that, let me say it again. Spike Lee named Benin named Spike Lee and his wife ambassadors for African Americans in the US. Yeah, Benin, and I'm just going to read this little piece of article that's there, and this is from like 24th of July, so it's not an old thing. This is a new thing. So it's Benin has appointed the renowned American filmmaker Spike Lee and his wife Tanya Lewis Lee, a seasoned, do you hear me? Seasoned producer and author, as its ambassador for African Americans in the UK, in the US. They are expected to serve as thematic ambassadors, raising awareness and supporting initiatives to promote Benin's ties with people of African descent. You see, they're bridging the gap between people of African descent in America. So where we had the earlier argument or opinions from one of our members, Miss Lee, about some Black Americans not classing themselves as African Americans and classing themselves as just Americans, this is what Benin wants to do. They have appointed Spike Lee to help bridge that disparity with people's beliefs and what they believe. They've asked him to be that bridge to bring people together and tie them to their African descents. What more can we say on that? You know, for me, that is a great thing to do. And I hope it does. It says last year the government passed a law offering nationalities to people with an African ancestor who was taken from their homeland as part of the transatlantic slave trade. And for me personally, this is me talking personal, DJ Smiley, I was going to give my government name. This is me talking personally. And I'm not going to talk too long because we're going to come to the end soon. Is that I'm going to stop sharing because I want to make our listeners see when I'm talking. My father, I did an ancestry tree, and I was shocked because I'm born in England, and I thought, my mother and father were born in Guyana, so I thought I'm part Guyanese, part British. Anyway, I know listeners, you're going to say, "What's foolishness this DJ Smiley talking about?" I was shocked when I got my results, and it says you're 95% African. I thought, where's the English and where's the guy? So I rang my dad in Guyana straight away. Listen, no nonsense. I just picked up the phone. I rang my dad, and I said, Dad, I need to ask you a serious question. Are you African? Because he's born in Guyana. He said, why are you asking me that question? I said, because my ancestry says I'm 98% African. He said, I forgot to tell you, your great-great-grandfather was snatched off the shores of Benin, and they transported them to Guyana on the slavery boat. Your the grandmother, your grandparents, and was dragged off the shores of Benin and taken to Guyana. I was absolutely gobsmacked. So then I knew that is it. I told the whole family we are Africans, and whatever's next is secondary. So yeah, I am all for it. Go ahead, Miss Leisha.
The thing is, this is the thing that you've actually brought on something that I spoke about earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
You thought that you were Guyanese.
Yes.
But how could you be Guyanese when you're black?
Because Guyana had the Amazon River, where they had the Amazonians, and they are Indian black.
Well, they're Indian. They are Aboriginal Indian in
Yes,
Guyana, which you're not.
correct.
So you would be African, Afro Guyanese.
If you want to class it in that.
Yeah. So
Yes.
for example, like my parents are Jamaican and Bayesian.
Mm-hmm.
I only say that I would say that I'm African Caribbean
Mm-hmm.
because I've always been brought up to understand and be educated that I'm still African, but I have but we're Caribbean, if that makes sense.
Yes,
So
yes,
I
it
say that
does.
so if anybody say, are you Jamaican? Okay, my parents are Jamaican, born,
Mm-hmm.
but African is the heritage,
Yes,
if that makes sense.
yes, it does.
There is a mix, but generally it's African Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, like I said to you before, there is this conversation happening amongst Americans online where they're saying they're not African because they can't trace their lineage as African because they've been in the country for over 500 years. But
Yeah.
it's interesting that you would have thought that you are
Yes.
Guyanese. I would not
Yes.
have thought you're Guyanese. I will say you're African Caribbean.
Caribbean. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, African Caribbean. Sorry, Jemmy is
No, absolutely great point. Absolutely great point. Go ahead, Maximus.
So first and foremost, 85 or 86% of all black people have Benin in their DNA.
Wow.
Yeah, because number one, it was a staging point. Number two, it was where a lot of Africans were kept before they were exported like food, which led to a lot of interbreeding. There were some people that came from Nigeria, some people that came from Ghana, but they all mixed up in holding places and things like this. Yeah. As for those Americans, if they can trace back 400 years and they don't know they're African, the colonizers done a good job again. They've confused these people to not know where they're from. You cannot be
Yeah.
black and not be a third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 10th, 20th, 100th generation African. It doesn't work. Yeah. And if I can find the study before the show ends, I'm going to find it. Yeah, there's 3 white professors that have said the world is populated by 50 families. So that could be from 3 people to 23 people in a family that went and explored the planet. Yes, that's why if you go all around the world, no matter where you go in the world, you can find black people or evidence of black people's existence.
Mm.
Yeah, this is undisputable and undeniable facts. Remember, we live in the information age in 2025. If you want to know something, you ask a question, and if you cross-reference that question on that famous website, which we all know, yeah, you will get
Yeah.
an answer. Yes.
Okay. All right. So let me just pause you there. TMJ, is your information long, because we have come to the end of the show, but I wanted to get your part into the recording of so the listeners can hear it for future. So go ahead, TMJ, quickly. Last word.
It's not long. I was just going to say, my mother used to have this saying, and she would say, too much sense isn't good for you. And I never really understood that. I just thought, Mum, that's just not right.
Mm.
But sometimes we educate ourselves out of what we already know. There is no way you can look on yourself as a black person and not be convinced that you're an African. Done.
Very good. Listen, what can I say, listeners? It's been an absolute joy and a pleasure to have each and every one of you here in front of me, and also on air. So thank you very much for your listening ears, and we will see you next week, God willing. Have a lovely weekend and catch Shamps and Giggles as part of your Friday entertainment. Yeah, what can I say? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for gracing me with the hot seat. DJ Smiley, Maximus, we out. Blessings.